Today, we're going to talk about something really difficult. It's the story of a horrific crime that took place in the quiet college town of Moscow, Idaho, and it completely shattered that community's sense of security. This is a look into the Idaho student murders, a case that is just as tragic as it is complex. So let's set the scene. Moscow, Idaho. It's pretty much your quintessential college town, It's built around the University of Idaho. It's the kind of place where everybody seems to know each other, just defined by this peaceful, small-town charm. Honestly, the feeling of safety there was so strong that locking your doors wasn't even a thought for a lot of people. Moscow really felt like a sanctuary, just totally removed from the kind of tragedy that was, about to unfold. And then, in just one single brutal night, that whole illusion of safety was just gone. The unthinkable happened, and Moscow, Idaho was changed forever. It all came to a head on the morning of November 13th, 2022. That's when this nightmare became a reality. 4 university students were found dead inside their off-campus home, a house that was just steps away from campus. 4. That number alone was just so shocking. 4 young people, all of their lives taken in the exact same event. It sent this immediate wave of shock and disbelief through the entire community. Their names were Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. All of them were in their early 20s. They were friends, they were classmates, and they had their entire lives ahead of them. You see, the house on King Road was a popular spot, a social hub where friends would hang out. And on November 12th, the night before, the students were out doing what college kids do, just completely unaware that it was going to be their last night. The initial details that came out from the crime scene are just bone-chilling. Investigators believe the killer got into the home sometime after 4 in the morning, and there were no signs of a break-in. For hours, the horror inside that house just went completely undiscovered. It wasn't until around noon that a 911 call came in reporting an unconscious person, which is just a hauntingly understated way to describe the grisly scene they found. Well, as you can imagine, that discovery instantly threw the entire town of Moscow into a state of shock and fear. Classes were canceled, students were packing up and going home. Parents all over the country started to wonder how safe their own kids were on college campuses. And as the news spread, there was one question that haunted not just Moscow, but really the whole nation. Who could do something so heinous, and why? For 6 long, agonizing weeks, the community was just living in limbo. There was no suspect, there were no answers, fear just grew, and online speculation went absolutely wild, with internet sleuths trying to piece together every little detail of the case. The few details the investigators did release only made the mystery deeper. They called the attack targeted, but didn't explain what that meant. With no weapon, no motive, and no suspect, a cloud of fear just hung over Moscow. Then, in late December of 2022, after weeks of painstaking investigation, there was a breakthrough. Authorities announced they had a suspect in custody. The suspect was Brian Koberger, a PhD student at nearby Washington State University. And here's the chilling twist: his field of study was criminology. He was literally studying the very nature of the crime he was now being accused of. The charges against him are as serious as it gets: 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. In Idaho, a first-degree murder conviction means prosecutors have to prove it was premeditated, a willful, deliberate killing, and it carries the possibility of the death penalty. So today, the case has moved from the crime scene into the courtroom. A massive legal battle is now underway, and it's all playing out under the watchful eye of a completely captivated public. The legal fight really boils down to one key thing. On one side, you have the prosecution. Their case is built on forensic evidence, specifically DNA they found on a knife sheath that was left at the scene, which they say belongs to Koberger. On the other side, the defense is fiercely challenging how valid that evidence is and how it was handled. And throughout this entire process, from the moment he was arrested, all the way through the ongoing pretrial hearings, The suspect, Brian Koberger, has consistently and officially maintained his innocence. But amidst all the legal arguments and the media frenzy, it's so important that we remember the real human heart of this tragedy. The four bright lives that were so senselessly taken. Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan. It's their stories, their lives, and their loss that are the true core of this entire tragedy. They were so much more than just names in a headline. They were sons, daughters, siblings, and friends. Each one of them had a future full of promise that was just tragically cut short. And for their families, the grief is this constant thing they live with as they wait for justice. As this whole legal process moves forward, one thing remains absolutely certain. It's a truth that just cuts through all the noise and all the complexity of the case. 4 students should still be here today, and they are not forgotten. This whole case is just a stark reminder of how vulnerable we can be and how fragile our sense of security really is. And it leaves us with this one haunting question. How can a community so scarred by such a profound loss even begin to heal when the full truth is still out of reach?